The fight between Belal Muhammad and Della Maddalena just took place, and as the dust begins to settle, the MMA community is already responding with a mix of praise, analysis, and reflection.
And
Before the fight, Georges St-Pierre believed that Muhammad had been widely underestimated leading into the fight. While many pegged it as a striker versus grappler matchup, St-Pierre saw Muhammad as more than just a wrestler. He pointed out Muhammad's awkward and unorthodox striking as something that could cause real problems for someone like Maddalena, whose boxing relies heavily on rhythm and timing.
Jake on the other side, he's on a tear. He's got a good momentum. He's on a winning streak. And it's going to be an interesting fight. On the one side, Jake, I think he could have the advantages in the striking department, but it's not only a kickboxing match, it's mixed martial art, and that's when I believe if I'm Belal Muhammad, that's where you take advantage of it. I think he's got more tools to win, but that doesn't mean he's gonna win. So it's all about how they're gonna match their style against each other.
St-Pierre said the true key to the fight would be Muhammad's ability to disrupt that flow. If Muhammad could land cleanly and keep Maddalena uncertain, he might even outstrike the supposed striker. Still, GSP acknowledged the threat posed by Maddalena, especially if the Australian managed to keep the bout standing. His sharp boxing and power, GSP noted, could have ended the night early if Muhammad had allowed too many clean shots through.
It's always about cracking the code, and he's the champion for a reason. That means nobody has cracked the code so far. And Belal has a style, he's very aggressive. He put a constant forward pressure, and he make guys fighting on their heels. And he's very good at changing level and changing the momentum of the fight. And that's his main asset. That's his bread and butter. And Jake on the other side is a very good striker. I mean, they both match. I don't know how it's gonna go. To tell you the truth, it's a very interesting matchup. But it's, as you say, it's not as simple as saying, oh, it's striking versus grappling, because it's not. The striking in MMA is very different. It's not only about like a kickboxing fight. There's takedowns. There's so much things involved, and the distance is different.
Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo also analyzed the matchup in detail during a discussion on their podcast. Usman offered praise for Maddalena's resilience, highlighting how the Australian stayed composed under pressure in previous fights. Usman referenced Maddalena's bout against Gilbert Burns, recalling how, despite being repeatedly taken down, Maddalena remained calm and eventually secured a knockout late in the fight. For Usman, that moment revealed the depth of Maddalena's mental toughness and striking ability. Though he gave the grappling edge to Muhammad, Usman maintained that Maddalena's ability to level the playing field with his hands was not to be underestimated.
Striking wise, I think JDM is much better than Belal. I think Belal will probably has kicks and all of those little strikes, but as far as throwing hands, as far as relaxation there, as far as setting the traps with the striking, I think JDM is definitely a little bit more seasoned, or even better there in that aspect. But it's an intriguing fight. I don't think it's a landslide that Belal is going to win the fight. I do think it's a very intriguing fight. Honestly, I like the fight.
On the other hand, Cejudo leaned more conservatively in favor of Muhammad. He admitted that Maddalena was a genuine threat, but argued that Muhammad's well-rounded skill set, particularly his ability to blend striking, wrestling, and cage control, gave him a major advantage over 5 rounds. Cejudo expected that Muhammad's experience would be the deciding factor and predicted that he would likely win by decision.
You know, I don't know enough about JDM. I've never really seen JDM in the nitty-gritty besides that Gilbert Burns fight. I don't know, man. I like JDM. I like the sound of his Jack Della Maddalena. It makes me want to dance. But I just feel like Belal is just too much, bro. Belal is he's too experienced, man. I think he's too problematic with his mixing of his fighting, and I think he knows how to close distance very well. And not just that, but he's gotten better too on top. His top control, you know, working out with Khabib and all those guys, where he's been able to take a lot of that material. And I think I personally got Belal, man, winning by pretty much unanimous decision.
Daniel Cormier voiced strong confidence in Maddalena's potential. He framed the Australian as a unique talent in the welterweight division, someone with both the technical skill and mentality required to take out a seasoned veteran like Muhammad. Cormier pointed to Maddalena's undefeated UFC record and finishing instincts, suggesting that this bout could be a defining moment for him and the division at large.
Jack Della Maddalena is a very exciting fighter. He's a tremendous striker, and he really does have all the skills in the world. My worry, or my thought, is with the way Belal Muhammad has been fighting recently, the pressure, the wrestling, he seems to be a nightmare of a matchup for Jack Della Maddalena. But at the end of the day, fights happen for a reason. We don't know the result, and you never know what goes on inside that octagon, and Jack Della Maddalena has the skills to unseat Belal Muhammad. It's a great fight, and it's a good fight for the division if Shavkat can't go. But again, it's one of those young guys, Cheo, that has worked his way up through the UFC, he's undefeated, and now he's getting an opportunity to become a world champion.
Robert Whittaker echoed that sentiment, drawing parallels between this fight and the earlier matchup between Muhammad and Leon Edwards, a fight many had underestimated at the time. Whittaker emphasized that this bout was more competitive than the public was giving it credit for, and saw it as a potential breakout performance for Maddalena. He considered the matchup razor thin and expressed belief in the Australian's chances.
I'm curious. Like, I'm so pumped JDM is getting that shot. I think like this fight is so winnable for him, so winnable, because you see, looking at it very, very casually, it's kind of, the matchup is kind of similar to Belal fighting Leon. All right, but I think JDM, especially after his fight with Burns, has obviously been working that kind of defensive game, been able to punch through it, right? But also, I think his close pocket fighting is better, so that when Belal closes that gap, which was giving Leon Edwards a lot of trouble, because Leon likes fighting on the outside, JDM doesn't like need to fight on the outside. He can fight very, very well inside. So when Belal closes that distance, that space, Jack may hurt him there.
Daniel Rodriguez also gave Maddalena his due, especially for his recent success in finishing opponents and maintaining consistency inside the octagon. However, Rodriguez admitted to having a gut feeling that Muhammad might pull off the win. Despite Maddalena's momentum, Rodriguez said it felt like one of those fights where experience and tactical control would ultimately swing things in Muhammad's favor.
JDM's on a roll, man. He's been, doing his fucking job. And yeah, man, I don't know. I just think maybe Belal might take this one.
Sean Brady, who had previously faced Muhammad, also expressed belief in Muhammad's chances. He said he had backed Muhammad ever since their fight, seeing his continued success as a reflection of his own competitive level. Brady acknowledged Maddalena's grit and knockout power, but he argued that Muhammad had a way of navigating adversity and finding a path to victory. Brady predicted Muhammad would once again find a way to win, though he added that if Muhammad lost, he'd be interested in a rematch to re-establish the next top contender in the division.
For Belal, since he beat me, of course, the better he does, the better it makes my loss look to him, He went out, he beat Leon, and now he's fighting Jack, which Jack's a super tough fight. I was getting ready for Jack for our fight before when I had to pull out, And I know how good Jack is, and Jack can knock anybody out in the world, but you can't bet against Belal. He finds ways to win, and I think he's going to win that one. And of course, I want him to be champion when we fight again. But if for some reason he does lose, I would fight him for a #1 contender.
Jamahal Hill offered a more technical critique of Maddalena's game, pointing to a specific vulnerability in the Australian style: his difficulty in closing the distance effectively. Hill believed that if Muhammad stayed calm and managed range well, he could use his grappling to frustrate Maddalena and put him on the defensive. Hill respected Maddalena's boxing and toughness, but ultimately sided with Muhammad due to the stylistic edge he saw in how Belal could control the tempo.
No question, I gotta go with Belal Muhammad. Jack is a beast, and he does present some problems as far as with the boxing and things like that go. But I believe his one of his deficiencies is covering distance. I mean, closing the distance and closing the range. So I believe if Belal keeps a good distance in between, it makes him actually have to work to get to him. It'll make it easier for him to get. To get off into what he likes to do, which is make people work and put them in that blender work piece and with punches and then grapple.
Curtis Blaydes focused on the psychological elements of the matchup. He chose Muhammad to retain his place atop the division, highlighting Muhammad's ability to stay mentally sharp under pressure. Blaydes brought up Muhammad's composure in unpredictable scenarios, like competing at odd hours or on massive cards, as a sign of his psychological resilience. For Blaydes, that mental toughness could make the difference in a tightly contested fight.
I'm gonna go with Belal. I think him having that experience, that weird fight night, pay-per-view experience, having a fight at 5 a.m., I don't think there's anything harder than that. So I think mentally he'll have the advantage and that'll be enough.
Gage Young praised Maddalena's exciting high-output boxing and particularly admired his powerful body shots. But when it came to this fight, he leaned toward Muhammad. He admitted that while Belal's style could be considered predictable by some, its effectiveness was undeniable. Young acknowledged that fans might not always appreciate Muhammad's approach, but he respected how Belal consistently executed his game plan at the highest level. In the end, Young doubted Maddalena's ability to stop the takedowns and believed Muhammad would walk away with the win.
JDM's got a super dynamic style. I love his boxing. He mixes it up, goes to the body well. I think that'll be good for a guy like Belal, especially because everybody knows what Belal's plan is, you know what I'm saying? He does what he does really well, and I respect what he does. You know, he gets a lot of hate for, like, you know, his style, and it is kind of a boring style, but he does it really well at the highest level. I see that fight going to Belal, to be honest. I don't think JDM's gonna be able to stop the shot.
Ian Gary spoke with strong confidence about Muhammad's chances, predicting a win for Belal and possibly even a finish. He described Muhammad as a pressure-heavy fighter who only grew stronger as the rounds progressed. Gary had seen Maddalena struggle against inferior grapplers in the past and felt that Belal's elite-level wrestling would eventually wear him down. He envisioned a 3rd or 4th round finish if Maddalena managed to survive the early rounds.
Could I get a quick 3:15 prediction, Belal versus JDM?
Every minute that goes by, it puts Belal in a better position because he just is a workhorse. He's a grinder. He will grab a hold of you. He will be in your grill. He will make it ugly. He will slam you. He will just constantly be there. And I've watched Jack get ragdolled by people that aren't as good as Belal. And Belal is one of the best in the world at playing the game Belal does. I think stylistically he gets his hand raised, and I think he gets a finish in the later rounds. I think if Jack can survive till 3 or 4, I think that's when the finish will come.
So what were your reactions to this fight? Who were you supporting to win? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.